Hi all, welcome back to my channel. In today's video I will be sharing with you how to make this lovely dress right on your screen. If this sounds like what you are interested in, you definitely need to watch this video to the very end, and if you find it helpful, do not forget to hit on the subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. To make this dress, you will mark out your basic measurements, which I have done here. So I have my shoulder line. From my shoulder line to my chest line, I have 9 inches. From my shoulder line again to my waistline, I have 18 inches. Then from my shoulder line to my hip line, I have 26 inches. For the length of the gown, I am working with a length 64 inches. So I am making a longer version of it. Note that this dress can be longer or shorter depending on the length you want. On the shoulder line, I marked out my shoulder measurement divided by 2 and I connected it to the chest line in a straight manner. So to take my neck width from the shoulder measurement, I will come in by 3 inches. From that same shoulder, I will come down by 1 inch and I will go ahead to slope my shoulder this way. I will find the midpoint of what I have from the shoulder to the chest line, come in by ½ inch. On the chest line, I will divide my bust measurement by 4 and I will go ahead to curve out my armhole just as shown. From my shoulder line, I will mark down 3½ inches for my neck depth and I'll proceed to curve out my neckline just as shown. I will now go ahead to take my body measurements divided by 4. Remember, I have taken my bust measurement. So on the waistline, I took my waist measurement divided by 4. On the hip line, I took my hip measurement divided by 4 and I'm going ahead to connect the 3 points as shown. After that, you are going to take this your hip measurement all the way to the gown length in a straight manner. I want this dress to have a dart, so I'm going to take 1 inch on my waistline for my dart allowance and I'll go ahead to connect. So if you don't want a dart, it is totally fine, your dress will still come out lovely, right? So I'm going to add a dart to mine and this is what I have. So I'll come to this waistline, go in by my nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2, go up by 5 inches, that is the length of the dart. Also take my nipple to nipple measurement on that line, come down by 5 inches and also take my nipple to nipple measurement on that point and I will go ahead to connect into a straight line as shown. I'm going to mark ½ inch on both sides of this straight line as shown. I decided to increase my dart. Instead of ½ inch on both sides, I decided to use 0.75 on both sides since I am making this dress for someone who is somehow busty. Yeah, she's a bust 42, so I decided to increase this dart to 0.75 instead of 0.5. all right, so I will go ahead to connect. Please, if your bust is not that big, just make use of the 0.5 on both sides. And as you can see, I connected upward and also connected downward. Since I used 0.75, so I'm going to replace the appropriate dart intake I took out. The total dart I took out here is 1½ inches. I'm going ahead to replace it. If it is ½ inch you took out on both sides, you're going to replace just 1 inch. I really hope you understood what I just explained. So after connecting my body measurement, I'm going ahead to shade. So this is my dart, so you don't get confused. And this part, these first 2 lines are no longer needed, all right? So this is what I have right now. So what I will do is to work on that style we have around the waistline. From the waistline, I will come down by 2 inches. I will go ahead to connect this with my curve ruler from here to this my dart leg. If you don't have a curve ruler, you can as well make use of your free hand. Can you see what I am doing right here? I am making sure that my curve ruler is touching the 2 inches and my dart leg like this. So I will come to the hip line. I will reduce the measurement by 3 inches. So I am marking out 3 inches here and I'm going to take this one. Can you see the way I place my curve ruler? I will connect this one to this. So I'm going to take this 3 inches all the way down. If you don't have a curve ruler, you can make use of your free hand to achieve this curve. So I will connect this 10 word up to the gown length and I will go ahead to cut this out. it will look like this after you are done cutting it out. I will place it on my fabric and cut out. So after cutting out, this is what I added: ½ inch on the neckline, on the shoulder, on the armhole. Then on the side I added my normal sewing allowance. On this cuff part I added ½ inch all the way down. I will go ahead to indicate this dart leg and I will give it a notch. So the same way I marked out this dart on my pattern paper, I will transfer it to my fabric later on. Okay, so I will keep it aside while we work on the back pattern. For the dart on the back piece, I will use just 1 inch. Remember, I used 1.5 inches for the front. If I should use it for the back, it's not going to look okay. I will go ahead to cut out 0.25 inch from the side. So we'll be left with just 1 inch for the dart, which means that we are going to be taking half inch on both sides. Hope you really understood. So for the back, I have cut out some part. Can you see on the armhole I left ½ inch, on the side I left my sewing allowance, and on this cuff part. All right, so before I cut out the zipper allowance and the neck measurement, I will work on this center back, right? So for this center back, on the waistline I will go up by ½ inch and come down by ½ inch, and I will slant it to the side just as shown. After that, I will proceed to cut it out. I will use my masking tape to hold the papers together just as shown. And after that is done, you can see that my fabric have been affected with the way the paper is positioned. So I will just suggest that you do this before you cut out your fabric. Okay, I'll suggest you work on the center back before you cut out your fabric. So from that same waistline, I will go in by 0.5 inch. From the waistline, I will mark down 6 inches, and I will go ahead to connect this upward and connect it downward as well, as you can see. Then I'll proceed to cut it out. After cutting it out, you will have it looking this way. So there is no way you will use this method to make your dress and have any zipper bulge. There is no way. All right, so you will go ahead now to add your zipper allowance. Okay, so I will go ahead now to mark my zipper allowance. Mark your preferred zipper allowance. For me, I am marking 1.5 inches, and I will go ahead to connect it. So my loves, if you haven't subscribed to the channel at this point, you should definitely do that. It is absolutely free. It helps my channel to grow. I will really appreciate that. All right, thank you. So after that is done, you will cut out, and after cutting out, we'll work on the neck depth. Remember that the back neck depth is lower than the front, so I'm going to use this my chest line now as my neck depth. I will mark out the neck depth, also indicate my neck width, and I'll go ahead to connect the 2 points like this. Make sure you curve it into the zipper allowance as shown. Then I'll proceed to cut it out. Also cut out the shoulder and the armhole, leaving ½ inch for joining allowance. So you notice that dart is broken. You are going to go ahead to connect it back in a straight manner. After that, we'll work on the gathers we have on the side of the dress. So here is the pattern paper that I kept aside earlier. So I'm marking 1.5 inches interval. I will mark this 1.5 inch interval, and I will go ahead to connect in a straight line. After marking it out, I will go ahead to label it 1 to 6. So I have my Ankara fabric in a fold of 2. I will place the pattern on this Ankara piece. So remember that this side is the hip side. Okay, the side that is facing the folded part of the Ankara is the hip side. I will go ahead to slash this pattern open, as you can see. After that is done, I will be spacing these papers. Okay, but before I do that, I'm going to measure from the top of this Ankara to my hip line. So this line here, remember, it is my hip line. This particular line here is my hip line. So I'm going to measure from the top to that hip line. I will mark it out on several places, and I will go ahead to connect it across, which I have done. So I will go ahead to place my papers. Okay, so the first one on the fabric is number 6 and this is number 5. So this line here is my hip line. You can see the lines across, they are my hip line. So this line I marked across will help me keep all the papers in place. You can notice that the height of the papers are not the same at the top, so having this line I marked across will help me space them and keep them in a straight line. And I am spacing each of this pattern by 3.5 inches. You can see the way I am spreading it, right? After number 6 I place number 5, after number 5 number 4, and here is number 3. So I will keep spacing them, giving them 3.5 inches gap until I get to the number 1. After spreading the upper part, you're also going to spread this down part. You can see the way I am straightening it. Also make sure that the lines are, the space rather, are the same with the upper part. Okay, so at this top I'm going to give it 1/2 inch for sewing allowance. After that I will proceed to cut it out. After cutting this one out, I will place it on another folded fabric and cut out for the other side. Okay, so you're going to cut out 2 of these for the both sides. And that is exactly what I have done here. Can you see? So I will go ahead to notch this folded part of the fabric. These are my upper bodies, and I've gone ahead to cut our lining piece for each of them and also transfer the dart to the lining piece and the fabric, just like I explained earlier. Just a little process of how I transferred my dart from my pattern paper to my main piece and to my lining. I head on to where the dart is and I marked out. You can see I put my finger there, raise the fabric, and I will mark it out. It's very simple. Okay, just put your hand on the fabric or on the pattern paper, then you mark it out where it is. So that is how I transferred the dart. So we're going to now go ahead to start joining the fabric together. I will start by holding my dart, go to my sewing machine, hold the dart. So if you have transferred your dart, this will be very easier for you to sew. So I'll go ahead to sew my darts, each of them. After sewing, I have it looking like this, and this is what the back looks like as well. So I will use my lining piece to turn my neckline. You can see I have marked out 1/2 inch already. I will go ahead to turn the neckline and hem the down part of my lining. For the front as well, I will also go ahead to turn the neckline and hem the down part of my lining. After doing all that, this is what I have it looking like. So the next thing I will do right now is to also turn the side. Alright, use my lining piece, turn the side, and also repeat the same thing on the back. Turn the zipper allowance for the back, also turn the side, and repeat the same thing on the other side of the back. After doing that, I'll bring it back. Cut out this fabric for the belt. The length is 5 inches while the wideness is 30 inches. Use this to create the belt that we have around the waistline. So I'll go ahead to sew this right now all the way to the end. Alright, fold it into 2 and sew just by 1/2 inch. After I was done sewing, I ironed in the seam allowance to the center, and I will go ahead to sew one side of the edge. Before I join my front and the back, I will go ahead to close this zipper allowance, but before that I will mark off on the waistline 7.5 inches downward. So I'm going to sew from this top to the 7.5 inches with a loose stitch, and from the 7.5 inches all the way down I will sew with a normal straight stitch. After I was done doing that, I will go ahead to sew the front and the back together this way. After sewing them with my normal sewing allowance, I will also sew the shoulders together. Use one lining, turn the other shoulders like this. You repeat the same thing on the other side. I forgot to mention that you're going to sew the belt we created earlier on the waistline. You will sew it as you are joining the side seam, right? After I was done sewing, like I explained, you can see the belt. So we work on the ruffle. So I brought back this pieces I cut earlier, this fabric I cut earlier for the ruffle. Remember the notch I made on it earlier? So you're going to match that notch to the side seam of the upper part this way. Right side facing right side. You will go ahead to match the notch to the side seam this way. I will go ahead to pin it down this way with my pin. Then I will bring the hem of this fabric, match it with the hem of the upper part. Okay, the hem, you can see. So I'm going to match it hem to hem. Just watch what I'm doing here. I believe you understand better in case you don't understand what I'm explaining. I'm going to pin this right now. I'll pin it upward, the both fabric. I'll keep pinning them upward. All right. When you get to this curved part of the fabric, you realize that it is at the same spot with the dart, with where the dart started on the main piece. Can you see? This is where the dart is. So from where the dart started, you notice that both of them are on the same angle. So you're going to go ahead to pin it down there and you will stop. After pinning it down, you will gather all this whole space. Okay, you will gather it on this tiny space we have right here. Can you see what I am doing? You will gather all of them here. After I was done gathering it on my machine, this is what I have it looking like. I'm going to turn this dress to the wrong side so that we can walk on the back side. Okay, so I'm going to turn it right now. After turning it, you can see, so I'm going to bring the back. Okay, so I'm going to bring the hem of the ruffle on the other side, right? So we have joined one side, remember, so you're going to bring the other side of it, match it with the hem of this damn part. All right, match it and you will start pinning again. So I'll start pinning again till I get to where the dart started on the back piece. When you get there, you are going to pin it down. So after pinning it down, I will go ahead to gather this remaining excess, okay, on this small space we have here. I will go ahead to gather everything. Make sure you plate or gather it so it will contain everything. I will go ahead to do that and bring it back. After sewing everything like I explained, you can see that we have successfully sewn in one side of the ruffle. Okay, we are going to work on the other side, right? So we're going to bring in that notch on the other side as well. We're going to match it right side facing right side on the other side of the side seam like this, and I will go ahead to pin it down. I'm going to use a different method right here in case you did not understand the first method. Okay, so after pinning it down, I will bring the hem of the dress itself and match the bones together. So you're going to pin this down, right? So I will keep pinning it till I get to where the dart started. Okay, from where the dart started on the main fabric. All right, so go ahead to pin it. When I get there, I will stop. I will turn to the other side of the fabric and the other side of the main fabric and pin on the hem again. Okay, I will keep pinning the both until I get to where the dart started on the main dress. All right, so when I get there, I will stop. So this is what we have right now. I will open up the dress so that we can see what I have here. So you're going to go ahead now to gather. You can see the small space we have here. You go ahead to make sure you gather this on this small space. All right, gather all this here. You can plait, you can gather it up to this place like this. After doing that, we also turn to the other side, also gather on this space, right? So you go ahead to gather everything here. So I will do that for the both sides. I'll bring it back. After I was done doing that, so I have cut out my sleeve because the video is already long. I will go ahead to attach my sleeve. I will go ahead to sew in my zipper at the center back and hem the dress on the down part. After I was done sewing in my sleeve and my zipper, and I also hemmed the down part, this is what I have it looking like. And this is the final result. This dress is way bigger than my mannequin, but trust me, it really turned out so beautiful. This is the back. If this video was helpful to you, please hit on the subscribe button, drop a comment on the comment section, like this video, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching and bye for now.